RUGBYMag.com, the official voice of rugby.
Hey everybody, this is Goff from RUGBYMag.com with your PRP Weekly report just after week 2 of the PRP, the new competition on the West Coast. And what do we see about this? Well, we learned a few things. We learned probably 3 major things. Number 1, Glendale is ready to play, and they certainly were one of the teams that really needed that kind of intense competition that they weren't getting in their regular league. And they came in, they won 2 games on the road. Very, very impressive by the Raptors. Number 2, we found out that San Francisco Golden Gate can play and win even when things aren't going their way. We found out that their starting fly half, Volney Rouse, he was out sick. They still managed to be able to fill in for him 2 times in a row, 2 different guys, including Tyanosa with SFGG now having moved up from Southern California. The other thing we found out about him is that even when they play in the wind and the rain and the conditions that don't make it conducive for them to play an open kind of running game, which is what they love, they were still able to win, still able to beat the Denver Barbarians. So impressive for them. And for the third thing, well, we've started this league now and we're getting what we want. We want to see competition. We want to see intense competition. We've seen that. We've seen some really good play, some open play, exciting games. We've seen some good tries scored, like this maul that we're seeing from San Francisco Golden Gate. But we're also seeing a little bit of rustiness, some skill breakdowns, some decision-making mistakes, and certainly some deficiencies, not only on occasion in skill or teamwork, but also in fitness. Is that a terrible thing? It's not really a terrible thing. What it means is this league is needed, that we're getting rusty play because we've got teams that need to get a little bit better. That's what this is all about. We're going to look ahead to next week, but first, let's check in with Pat Clifton.
Well, the first thing that sticks out to me this season is the competitiveness of all the games. You've had no game won by more than 14 points. The average margin of victory in every game is 7.5 points, just over a converted try. And half of the games have been won by single digits. You can't get much better than that. The comebacks, the near comebacks. So, you know, mission accomplished on trying to put together a competition that has week in and week out really tough games, because that's been the case. And kudos to some of those teams who stepped up their game that maybe weren't as competitive the last couple of years as they could have been. They've really kind of met the challenge here this season so far. The other thing that kind of sticks out to me is Glendale. I think some people are surprised by their start when they really shouldn't be. Glendale has beaten Oak Club and Belmont Shore in important and championship games over the last couple of years. But the one really surprising part is they're doing it in February this year. Not used to playing meaningful games in February, the Raptors, but kudos to Andres Neyman and his staff for getting the guys ready. Looking forward to this weekend. I think it's really, you got a couple really big rivalries in Ambach versus Belmont, the 2 premier clubs in Southern California for years and years. Belmont's owned the rivalry as of late, but Ambach is, I'm sure, geeked up and ready to try to get to 2-0 and beat Belmont. And up in the Bay Area, just up the coast, you've got Oak Club and San Francisco Golden Gate. These guys train yards from each other. They recruit from the same colleges and clubs. St. Mary's, Cal, very well represented on both sides, so it should be an interesting rivalry weekend in the PRP.
Well, let's go ahead and look at the standings after round 2. We'll see the San Francisco Golden Gate and Glendale are both leading the league 2-0. They weren't able to get bonus points in both games, but they are leading and undefeated so far. Unbeaten also Ambach with that dramatic victory against Santa Monica. So they're 1-0, but there's still plenty of games to play since it's a 12-game season and everybody is still in it. Looking this weekend now, Ambach is going to be at Belmont Shore. That'll be a huge game. Belmont Shore very unhappy with how they played last week. Let's have a look at what Belmont Shore captain Ian Carpenter had to say about that.
Came out, we knew it was going to be a tough match, and unfortunately we didn't show up in the first 40 minutes. And we saw what that did to Denver when we were able to come out hard on them last week in the first 40, and Glendale did it to us today.
And then Denver will be at Santa Monica. And again, this is a game between 2 teams that still have a lot to play for. Denver 0-2, but they were very, very close in their game. Santa Monica 0-2. They got to be wondering how they can get a full 80-minute performance out of that. And then San Francisco at Olympic Club, at San Francisco Golden Gate, that is. It's going to be another great weekend, and we'll be talking about it all weekend and all next week here on Rugby Magazine's PRP Weekly.